This week on Across the Arrowverse, cameos, Nazis, reunions. It's the crossover. Hi everyone, and welcome to the show. I'm your host Matthew Vose, and I'm joined as always by Catherine Kay.
Hi everybody.
This week we are discussing the episodes Crisis on Earth X Part 1, Crisis on Earth X Part 2, Crisis on Earth X Part 3, and Crisis on Earth X Part 4. Because all four were on in the week, and slightly out of order, but we are going to be going into all of them. This is in some ways what this podcast was made around. We love the way these shows cross over. We love the way that they talk to each other and deal with each other. And it's these crossovers that are the high point, I think.
Yes, yeah, definitely. And it could only have been better if they all leapt into a chorus of super friends.
Yes.
I love the fact that they all work together and are
been
friends
good.
with each other.
Yeah.
And yeah, I really enjoyed the crossovers.
Great. A quick history on the crossovers. So, last couple of seasons obviously have been major because they've got so many shows now, but they've done this every season effectively. Season 2 of Arrow was the introduction of Barry Allen as the Flash. Season 3 was the first proper crossover where Arrow started mentoring and training up the Flash more. Season 4 was the creation of the Legends. And we also then, even later in Season 4, had the Flash going to Supergirl's world. Season 5 of Arrow was the Invasion crossover. So that was effectively 3 episodes because it started at the end of Supergirl's episode. It was them recruiting her from Earth 19. I'm going to keep saying 19. I'm not sure that's right, but fine. This season, it is all 4 episodes.
It was really good. It was really good having it all 4 episodes because it kind of allowed them almost... It was almost like they had 4 slightly different cameras pointing on the same story. Because each there was a real strong consistency between how they did all 4 episodes in the crossover. But equally, there was it was like a different lens.
Yeah.
There was the Legends of Tomorrow lens and the Arrow lens and some of the shootings. So you could... I can't really explain it properly, but you could just about tell which show it was supposed to be.
Yeah, there was a real sense of the house style for each episode. You kind of knew when you were in the Supergirl episode, because the Supergirl episode was the one with the wedding.
Yes.
And by and large, nothing happened in that episode. It opened up with the comedy of all the different fights going on and the introduction to the Nazis. And then it was just lots and lots of relationship and storytelling set up, which is what tells you, even more so than we've had in previous seasons, this was not about 3 episodes that could kind of stand alone with their own plots going on. This was a 4-hour-long story. Yeah,
you would be really confused if you only watched Legends of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then suddenly that episode appeared. I think I like that they were brave enough to say, you want to watch the crossover, you got to watch all 4, dude.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And especially if you only watched The Flash and you came in and suddenly some of them are in the prison, some of them are on Earth X, and Barry and Iris's wedding has happened, you'd be thoroughly confused. Because what made me think is at least Legends is the one that had the death in it. So at least if you only watched that one, you'd follow. It made me wonder, did they at least play the big points in each episode? But they didn't even do that.
I think you could probably, if let's say you only watched The Flash, but you knew that this crossover was happening, so you watched the relevant episode from each of the other 3.
Yeah.
I think that the story of the crossover was self-contained enough that whilst there might be some references and some background that you don't get from some of the other characters, that would be an achievable thing for you to follow the crossover.
Yeah.
And then just go back to your just watching of The Flash.
1 week and then move back. Do you think some of this is a useful advertising perspective for people who might have given up on Legends and going, oh, actually, there's some quality in here?
Sorry, I'm just trying to think of legends and quality in the same sentence. No, that was mean. Sorry. But yes, definitely. There's definitely, I mean, that it's probably one of the best advertising tools they've got to show off some of these characters. And you know what? All 4 of them have some good characters.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about the big movements. There's remarkably little plot going on, but that's because I think this is effectively 2 movies worth of content. So the main plots are the Crisis on Earth X and the Nazis who are coming to take Supergirl's heart and then take over Earth 1. We had the plot of Felicity and Oliver.
Yeah.
And what was going on with them, so that was very much an emotional one.
Yeah.
We had Alex and Sarah. So again, a very emotional one, but one I didn't expect to be done in that way.
Yeah.
I like that certainly Alex has gotten some movement from that. And then Jefferson and Stein. Which we've been saying for a couple of weeks, we didn't know where this was going. And this is exactly where it was going.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's work through them. Let's come to that one last. The main plot, the big fight, the Nazis coming in, evil Supergirl, evil Arrow, plus Eobard Thawne as Wells. Thoughts?
I enjoyed the bad characters.
Okay.
I thought that was quite fun.
Okay.
I think the overall plot was a convenient framework on which to hang a lot of relationship stuff.
Okay.
And I don't mind that. And it was a good, fun, silly plot. But I don't think the plot, that overall Nazi plot itself, was what made me like the show, the crossover series of episodes so much. I think it was a convenient framework in which to put the other bits. I think their aim in coming into Earth was a little muddled. Were they coming to take over, or were they coming to steal Superwoman and Supergirl's heart and save bad, dark lipstick Supergirl?
Yeah.
Like, why do they have to be trying to do both? It's one or the other, surely.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah.
They were planning to do both, but they had to bog it down in the make it personal that they're actually going to kill Supergirl. It's not just they're taking over. There was a thing about someone we care about.
I also think possibly that plot was designed to go in a slightly different direction.
Oh, yeah.
Because there was all that stuff at the start about if it's choosing the Reich or me, he must choose the fatherland. You must help. Like, that never really came to fruition. So I'm wondering if there was a slightly different denouement that was planned.
Yeah.
That somehow got abandoned at the last minute. Because I kept thinking, especially in episode 4, I was like, where is the crisis point where he has to decide between the fatherland and bad Supergirl? And then it never came.
That never came to it, did it?
No.
Yeah.
But you know, it was the Nazis. You know, it's Nazis. Everyone's allowed to hate Nazis.
Yeah.
So that was a convenient way of setting it that they were bad. I enjoyed that they referenced what's it called? The High. What's it called?
Oh, Oliver and the High Castle.
Yes.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that they were just like, hey, yeah, we're just borrowing that idea.
Yeah.
I think that's fun.
Yeah. A point on the Nazis then. So some of this is a slightly topical thing. The rise of Nazism in America.
Agreed.
And in the alt-right communities. So, and using that just as a way of making people hate them. In the same way they've done in trying to make people hate them when they've gone after women video game journalists, when they've gone after the Ghostbusters movie.
Yes.
It's an easy way to get people's backs up. I feel like they did that very well because it wasn't pointed as, isn't Nazism ridiculous, but they had the reminders of what the impact of Nazism on gay people, on Jews, on non-white people.
Yeah.
The reminder of Felicity's grandparents and parents living through this and what they had the impact on them. I feel like they used that message very well without feeling like I got lectured at.
Yeah,
it's only in this discussion I'm thinking about it.
I agree. I agree.
So Felicity and Oliver was not a story I expected as well, because they seemed to be in a good place, but people kept mentioning to them, "Are you going to get married?" As happens at weddings. That is a very standard thing of it's an easy conversation for people, but it puts the people in the relationship under pressure.
Yeah.
I don't know that I bought her change of heart at the end to decide to get married to him based off Iris and Barry's words.
I don't know if it was based off Iris and Barry's words, because there's that scene earlier on where she seemed to be implying that she'd like to get married to him, but she didn't want to tempt fate. So it wasn't so much about not wanting to get married to him and not believing in marriage. It was more about if she let herself go for getting married to him, she thought everything was going to fall apart again, like it did last time they got married. So I saw it more of her, with them having overcome this disaster, I saw it more of her having a renewed sense of faith in their ability to face whatever the future threw at them.
Yep. Okay.
Rather than anything else.
Yes, I like that, actually. I had not taken as much away from her thing about that's when it all fell apart. Yeah. Yes, I can buy it more thinking on that side. Okay.
Don't believe that John Diggle can legally marry them. Just saying.
I'm sure they've referenced that at some point in the last 5 seasons, but
no,
it was a bit
convenient
and a bit weird to marry them next to his pile of vomit.
Yeah.
Could he not have, no, I'm holding it in this time. At least make that the gag, but...
And also, poor Iris and Barry. No, we were getting married.
Yeah, right.
What, now they're getting married? What?
Yeah. Yes. I did like the joke of him being snatched away.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's fine. He was a lot more cheerful than he has been for a while as well.
Well...
Even after vomiting on the grass.
It will be interesting to see how this wedding impacts. Are they going to use this as the point it falls apart? Because they're going to have to reference it in next week's Arrow, as everyone finds out, so...
I just want them to be like, yes, and they're good, and they're happy, and they're married.
Yeah.
Let's stop playing with this part of the storyline and focus on other bits.
Absolutely. Alex and Sarah. Now, I thought this was going to happen. I had a feeling, and I hadn't read anything. It was just, I could see that being an interesting pairing. And I like that this was continuing Alex's character development, her overarching story, realising she likes women, and this is the first time she has had a casual relationship. It was hilarious. It was done so well, that first night together, and her waking up and bumping her knee and so on. But then it got really deep in her assessing whether she should be with Maggie or not.
I really liked Sarah's take on it.
Yeah.
And I really liked the support that Sarah gave Alex around that. The fact that she said, look, you are clearly someone who considers things carefully. You should have trust in your own instincts and your own decisions.
Yeah.
And I thought that's a lovely message to give her.
Yeah.
And a very true one. Don't dismiss the reasons that you had before, because it wasn't something she did lightly. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that, actually.
Yeah.
It allowed us to move on with Maggie out of the story, but I did have a slight sense of, and she's just gone. And we've had an episode that they weren't in, and now we're moving on. So I feel like she is now going to be allowed to be over it. We have dealt with it a decent amount.
Yeah, I think so. She's had the miserable huddled in a ball stage.
Yep.
Now she's had the boozy one night stand stage.
Yep.
And now we put that to bed.
Yeah.
And she's probably not going to leap straight into another relationship for a season or two. Fine. But yes, we don't know. Well, maybe a season. Who knows?
Her character is so important to the show. I could see them doing something more with it.
But she didn't have a relationship for a very long time.
No.
But, yes.
Well, they had hints of her and the businessman, whose name I can't remember, in the first season.
They really got rid of him, didn't they?
Yeah. And then they decided she's into women, which, fine, and clearly the actress is into that idea and good at portraying it.
Well, once you've had Dr. McSteamy, you're not going to be... Sorry.
Oh, God, I forgot they used those names. Oh, God. Okay, moving on. Jefferson and Stein was the other big regular story.
Oh, Victor Garber.
Yeah, Garber.
Stein.
Who is a very good actor.
Very good.
And carried the story very well.
Yes.
It went through a number of movements. Them getting the elixir from Cisco, which is believable because he is the one who comes up with this stuff. They are the most advanced scientific element of these shows. So I can buy that.
And they work and live in a lab.
Yeah,
so they've
exactly.
got, like, all the equipment.
Exactly. Then moving into them understanding that Jefferson wants to keep his powers, or he thinks that's what it is. So the Spider-Man reference and setting up, doing stuff with powers.
I'm going to be Sticky Man.
And then into, actually, it's the father-son relationship they want to keep that he doesn't want to lose. Then them reconciling even that. And at that point, we both were like, yeah, Stein is not long for this world. Definitely not long for this show. If not, they have cleared up everything and he's got the most to lose out of everyone in this show.
Yeah.
So
I liked it. I liked the fact that they allowed us to fully live those emotional journeys with them.
Yep.
And I liked the fact that they were allowed that their relationship to get to such a good and warm and loving place, and they weren't quipping and fighting and squabbling. It was a proper warm bond.
Yeah.
I really liked that. I would have preferred Stein to be allowed to retire, finally spend some time with his wife.
Because he was such a wonderful husband.
Sorry. And I don't know. I'd have liked him to be happily living with his wife and his daughter and his grandchild.
I suspect this is not the last we've seen of him, but it was very well handled. I thought the funeral was excellent.
Yes.
I liked Jefferson going and telling his wife and his daughter.
Yes.
I liked the funeral with them. I feel like there might be more in the story, certainly for Jefferson.
Oh, yes.
To perhaps not be part of the team. I mean, there's clearly more in his development about what his power is, what his expertise is. But I'm not sure he's going to stay on the team all the way. Or if he's going to have a break or something.
I don't know what we can do with him. Or what they can do with him.
He's the mechanic, so there's that.
Yeah.
I mean, Wally's a mechanic.
Well, there is the whole thing. I mean, seriously. Would they really just go, okay, Wally, you just take what's her face and her daughter? Cecile and her daughter and keep them safe. Oh, yeah, keep Cecile and Joe safe. That's your job as a superhero. My rear end. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what they're doing with Wally. Baffling.
Yeah.
Something I was going to segue for something there. Stein. Yeah, I don't feel this is going to be the last that we've seen of Stein. Because people on the Legends don't stay dead.
Yeah, can we not have, like, the witchy woman who keeps raising Damien Dark from the dead? Get him back.
I'm going to say that again. People on Legends don't stay dead. Because Snart was back.
Yay! Love Snart.
If we start talking our cameos, he was in at least 2 of these episodes, I think. Because he turns up on the episode of Flash where they're on Earth X.
Yep.
Along with the Ray, who was called Ray.
Yeah.
Which is a nice setup for him to have a little spin-off of his own. So that's a nice setup there. He was an interesting character.
Yeah.
I love that they allowed Wentworth Miller to be gay.
Yes.
Not in a camp way, not in a silly way. He just likes men.
Likes men, is confident, is in a loving couple.
Yeah.
Is not, hey, I'm gay, therefore I fancy every man ever. It's like, hey, I have a loving partner.
So well done.
Love it.
Yeah. Snart was wonderful.
Yeah.
His introduction, I hate fire. Great. He's sticking around, so really interesting to see what they're going to do with him. Is he going to join one of the shows again? Is he going to cameo for a bit?
I think a lengthy cameo.
Right.
Especially the fact that, that he even said at the end, I am coming back, I do love you, I want my life with you. So I suspect it's to allow them to explore a little bit more. But I don't know which show he's going to come back into.
Yeah.
It feels like he'd be wasted on the Legends, although I know that was his show.
Legends would be the easiest one to have the good, Snart, evil Rory pay off against each other.
I did quite enjoy
that. Was very well done. Rory was very good in these.
Yeah.
He is a meathead. They treat him as a meathead, but he still steps up and does the thing.
Yes.
So he's not just, I hate being good, I'm never going to be good again. Urgh. No, he's now on their side. But he also just wants to sit around drinking beer and ogling women.
Yeah.
So, fine.
I enjoyed quite how much Rory was enjoying Killer Frost.
Yes.
Right at the start. That was very fun.
I did like Killer Frost as possibly female Snart. There's some interesting stuff to be done there. Yeah.
Yep. I quite liked
Go on.
Laurel's dad as a scary Nazi.
Yeah.
It works more for me than the whole pathetic, washed-up cop role that he's got going on in Arrow at the moment.
I will 100% agree with that. I enjoyed that more, but it's a little bit like Lois Lane, Amy Adams' Lois Lane. They're going to have to work very hard to win me back with him. Him as a Nazi is not going to win him back. I'm a bit fed up with the character as a whole.
Yes, no, I agree. I mean, I think he's a rubbish character at the moment.
So, yes, it was good, but... Okay. So, let's talk the cameos. Snart was the big cameo. We had this introduction of the Ray.
Yay.
We had cameos from our regulars. We had the cameo of Jimmy Olsen. Very, very briefly.
Little pointless.
Yeah. We had a cameo of Wynn as General Shot.
Liked that.
Really good.
Wynn, really good. Totally different character. I mean, I don't know if this is the moment to mention it, but just overall, their acting of a lot of characters, the ability to portray a very different character without necessarily donning a totally different guise. Mm-hmm. They've obviously had some really good acting, workshopping, coaching. I don't know whether, but if it was just one of the actors, I'd be like, oh, that's a very talented actor.
Yeah.
The fact that it was so consistently well done across so many of the cast, I think they've either got a very good directors, acting coach. Awesome.
Yeah. I feel Stephen Amell as Evil Oliver was not different enough, particularly. But part of that is because Arrow does have a lot of grey to him.
Yeah, yes.
Whereas Evil Supergirl, I thought was very good. You said, I think, she doesn't need the lipstick. You know which is which.
Yes.
Outside of the look.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree. Like, very much the facial expression, just the way she looked at people. She's very, very different. And I think you're spot on when you say that the Arrow character is not actually as far from the Führer as bad Supergirl is from good Supergirl in their characteristics.
Yeah.
Because I think the sort of the way the Führer character was portrayed was not as evil as, I mean, obviously he was evil and bad.
Yeah.
But I felt that the bad Supergirl character was more heartless and evil somehow. I don't know. There were definite shades of grey in both versions of Stephen Amell.
Yes.
Which
that's his character. That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. There was reminiscence of the way Supergirl was portrayed of the Superman story Red Sun, where he lands in Russia and becomes communist Superman, and that's a very well told story across the whole piece. But the things they do with his character were a bit akin to hers. Yeah. But they didn't really explore that difference too much. I think this was still, she landed where she landed at the time she landed, just in a world that's now controlled by the Nazis. Yeah. So that's the difference. Yeah. So that's fair. Other cameos, we had Tommy Merlin back.
I hadn't even remembered who he was.
Hadn't remembered who he was. It was a dark cameo, though.
Yes.
There was some work going on in that, and then him taking cyanide or killing himself through some means. Oof.
Yeah. Yeah. But that was in the Arrow episode, wasn't it?
Yes.
And that's what I meant by looking at the same story through different lenses. I think there was a lot of darkness in that Arrow episode, which chimes in with everything's a bit miserable and we're all gruff and the world is awful, which goes on in Arrow, which is probably why I don't really like Arrow that much. Yeah. But, like Supergirl, Legends, Flash, there is a lightness to them that is not there in the Arrow. Yeah. And I think that was also reflected in the Arrow episode of the crossovers.
Yes. Yeah, the Arrow episode is also the one where Team Arrow turn up. So yeah, you are right. By and large, the movements for each episode were contained within the episode of their show that they were. So if you then buy this on DVD or watch the series back, you probably would have to watch the crossover, like you say, but at least it's vaguely accessible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the Wave Rider and most of the Legends rocked up in the Legends episode. Like, what, where were they?
Yeah. Meathead Dude, whose name I can never remember, Atom, and Maya, and Zari. Partway through the Flash episode, part 3, we were going, wait, we've missed a whole chunk of characters from this. And then they rock up at the very beginning of the next episode. Very well done, with Ray coming in and saving Supergirl.
Yes.
But it was just, suddenly they're there, and now they can take on Metallo, because they have some superheroes with them.
Okay, can we just touch on Metallo?
Okay.
Is it me, or was the only point of Metallo in order to have that fight scene?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, a lot of CG. Metallo is a very well-established Superman, Supergirl type of enemy. And I think we have even seen him in Supergirl before. So that's how we know who he is. But yeah, that was just what was there to give us one more person for them to utterly destroy, basically. He's also there for a couple of good Terminator references. So the first bit where he starts showing up towards that fight and someone turns up and is just, come with me if you want to live.
I saw that.
The Terminator line. And then they even say it's like a Terminator, and they congratulate themselves for a good reference.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. Even I recognise that come with me if you want to live line.
Yeah. So if we're going to talk some of the good stuff, I have a lot of good that I can reference from this.
Yeah.
Let's kick off with Wells.
I love Wells.
Yeah.
I love Wells. He's amazing. He's one of my... Every time he's on screen, especially if he's on screen with Cisco, it brings me joy. Yeah.
I've got a note about him just being amazing. Not even sure what in reference to. It's something to do with the night before the wedding. Because it's after Oliver Queen in a waistcoat. That's my note. Because the waistcoat and tuxedo thing didn't work.
Not a good style, guys.
No.
Do not replicate.
But it's before Sarah and Alex, so he did something there that we quite liked. Great. I've got a note about him. Wells is the best in the Arrow episode because he talks about, he's like you, Oliver, but 10% less brooding.
I like it.
And then I have the reference in Legends of Tomorrow, where evil Supergirl is going to blow up. And good Supergirl isn't sure what to do, and he says, you need to fly up, and away.
Yeah, they are... This season's writing.
Yeah, for him.
This season's writing for him, and for a number of them, they are just doubling down on pop culture references.
Yeah. Well,
and it works.
Well, so she turns up to draw out evil Supergirl, and she hovers outside the ship and goes, General, care to step outside? Which is the line that Superman uses on Zod at the end of Superman 2, when he turns out to draw him out of the Daily Planet.
Oh, nice.
He hovers outside the building and says that thing.
Nice.
Wonderful.
Nice.
So subtle, but just wonderful.
Yeah.
Other good stuff. The great line to Stein, do you make up science words to make yourself sound smarter?
So true, so true.
Which is very true. He didn't know the word anachronism, though.
Yeah, that's bad Legends of Tomorrow writing, I'm afraid.
I loved... Did I love it? I think I loved it. Killer Frost as Frozone / Silver Surfer.
I enjoyed it. It was very silly.
She appears to have mastered her powers.
Yeah, when did she suddenly learn how to do that?
Yeah. We had Flash doing a couple of good things, particularly, like I said, him grabbing Diggle, but then his moment in the Flash episode where they need to know about the guards in the prison, and he just goes, I'll do some recon, and then comes back with the information.
Yeah, I mean, a little daft, but I like a little daft.
Yeah.
So, very much so.
But then I do have to mention what is probably the best moment of this crossover, of any of the crossovers they've done, of possibly anything that I've seen on the Arrowverse so far.
I'm intrigued. Drum roll.
Supergirl, Flash and Arrow go to battle. Supergirl and Flash get there really quickly. and then stand there looking at their watches while the Arrow drives up on a motorbike.
Does kind of highlight the fact that actually the Arrow's a little lame.
He is, but he is supposed to be the leader, the one who inspires people, and they did it all the way through this. You felt it.
And that is it now. Like, Oliver's superpower is being Oliver.
Yeah.
And having the confidence and the experience and the innate leadership skills that you just want him there as, you know, he might not be the one punching people in the face anymore, but as the person inspiring and coaching and guiding in the background, he's pretty invaluable. Yeah.
And actually, that was some of the qualities I noticed in the Führer that I was saying. I love it when they do the Arrow where he's not gruff and husky and all of this, where he's talking plainly and inspiring people. So you could see why there's, again, shades of grey. It's not necessarily two sides of the same coin.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, I think they were playing the Führer as someone who was Oliver Queen, just with an exceptionally warped and horrible belief system.
Yeah. But that joke, they gave it so much time, so much room to breathe. It landed flawlessly. It's exactly the right thing. There was a lot of this that reminded me of the comics. I mean, the fact it's called Crisis is leaning on so much DC history. The overarching plot was exactly the sort of thing you'd see in these. The way they deal with it is exactly the sort of thing with villains and people coming and going. But that moment is the sort of thing you get for a one-pager. And it's a little throwaway in the comics. It's funny, but it landed so well in live action.
It was good. Yeah. It was really good.
I feel like it's on par with a lot of what we saw in the Justice League movie as well, which was of itself very funny and did character moments well. This is what I'm here for. Yeah. So.
Nice.
Stepping away from the detail of these things, the production, you were saying about how you could feel each episode as you were in it, but it did have very much a feeling of 4 long episodes. It's really amazing to see the way they've done this. There was a quote that I read about them learning from previous seasons about how you have to do the scheduling, how you do the planning for it. And the fact that they've planned this in such a way that we have had characters missing from episodes. Well, that's meant that we've got a lot of them in this. So they've been able to film them at different times. And the characters that we talked about, Ray and Amaya and Zari disappearing off, were doing their own thing in another episode. And then they had their own scenes in this episode. So they got to just film them in sequence. They obviously planned that really carefully. What grouping of characters do we need in the crossover? So let's group them in the episodes before that. Yeah. That sort of planning is just... I have a lot of respect for the way they've done this.
And I think there were a lot of pairings. If we looked back and like watched the episodes again and actually tracked who was in a scene with who at any one time, I think there would be a high number of couplings.
Yes.
And I imagine that also allowed them to get the shooting done in quite an efficient manner. So it really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Just one thing I want to say.
Okay.
Why do bad guys not just kill their enemies? Because... like, the evil Nazi versions had most of the our favourites under their mercy. Captured. Weak. Vulnerable. And instead of just shooting them in the head and getting rid of them, they put these little shiny necklaces on them and then took them to Earth X so that they could wreak havoc. I mean, don't get me wrong, obviously I know narrative imperative and all that, but it's just kind of like... what was the point of that? Why would they even take them to Earth X if they were just intending to line them up and have Laurel's dad shoot them? Yeah. It didn't ring true.
Now, this is not just a problem with our villains. Because Eobard Thawne got let go at the end.
Yeah, what was that all about? Like, no offence, I get the whole I don't want to kill someone, but you're quite good at putting handcuffs on them and putting them in the most inhumane, boring prison cell in the world.
Which we got to see, finally. But he just he just let him go.
Yeah. I think Irish needs to take flashback to counselling. There's clearly some therapy needed there.
So strange. But yes, we got to see inside the metahuman prison.
Yes.
Yeah, briefly.
Yeah, inhumane cells.
Well,
I'm
yeah.
sorry, that is not an acceptable way to keep your prisoners.
Right?
There's no rehabilitation going on there.
There's no toilets going on there.
Yeah, or food. Or like, why did we not just see lots of sort of skeletons in those cells?
Okay, I have one thing I want to discuss with you before we wrap up.
Uh-huh.
One character who was in the one of the episodes that we made a particular note of, that we were really interested as we watched. Catering girl. Who excitedly gave Barry a drink and gushed about the wedding and didn't appear for any other moment.
Yeah, what was that all about? I thought that was going to be his daughter from the future coming to experience his wedding.
I still think it might be his daughter from the future.
Right.
But I now think they are doing some very long-term planning. I think we've got more time travel coming, possibly. Again, possibly why Eobard Thorne is now loose. But she got a lot of screen time for an extra. And when she turns up again, when we find out who she actually is, she is now going to be called Catering Girl, frankly.
But well remembered, because yes, now you mention her, I remember us at the time going, what's all that about?
Yeah.
But yeah, then she just disappeared.
So strange.
I don't know if this is true or not, or whether it's a thing or
Go on.
not. The priest that got blasted into oblivion.
Yeah.
I feel like I know him. I feel like he is a character that... Maybe not a character, maybe just an actor. I don't know.
I can look it up, but nothing stood out for me, I'm afraid.
Yeah, but that's not a very respectful way to treat a man of the cloth.
It is not. But when you got John Diggle, you don't need actual priests.
Yeah, when you've got like a vomit-stained bit of grass, you don't need a church.
On that note, that wraps us up for another week. We will be back next week to talk about the mid-season finale for each of these shows.
Ooh.
Well, maybe not a finale. I think it's the episode before the mid-season break, maybe.
The cliffhanger. Mid-season cliffhanger.
Maybe.
Probably. Possibly.
I need to check this. I might edit this out. I might leave it in, and I could be wrong.
We'll be back next week.
We'll be back next week, and we'll talk about something or other.
Or just eat chocolate.
If you have thoughts, questions, or comments, you can use the hashtag ATAV on Twitter, or find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram as Eloquent Gushing. If you want to help support us, please check out our Patreon page, where you can get access to exclusive content, live watch-alongs, and other extra releases across all our shows. Go to patreon.com/eloquentgushing and visit the homepage eloquentgushing.com to sign up for our new weekly newsletter about all the goings-on across all of our different shows. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you across the Arrowverse.
Across the Arrowverse is an Eloquent Gushing production. For more shows you'll love, please visit eloquentgushing.com.
There was a proper vibe of the house style in each episode.
I don't know what she thinks we said.
House style?
Did it?
That was weird. Anyway.